Hi, in this video we're revisiting the Cayo Perico DLC's Kosatka Submarine in GTA 5 Online, why you need one, how much it costs, and how to make chopper loads of money. Hi and welcome back, my name's Dan and I'm an old grumpy gamer. Grand Theft Auto is a truly massive game. Between GTA 5 and the constant updates from Rockstar for GTA Online, there's no shortage of new content and interesting things to do. Join me then as we look at one of the very best solo businesses in GTA 5 Online as we go through the Cayo Perico updates Kosatka business. Before we dive in, if you're new to the channel, we do how-to guides, news and giveaways, so consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay up to date. We've got a lot of ground to cover here. This is one of the biggest updates GTA Online had seen in a while, and there's a lot to take in. So we'll break it down into chapters with timestamps in the description below. We'll be going through why you'd want a Kosatka, purchasing options, earnings and return on investment, unlock and purchasing the Kosatka, spawning the Kosatka, a quick tour, traveling, Periscope and homing missiles, guided missiles, the Sonar Station, the Avisa, the Sparrow, Kosatka Services, and some pro tips. So first things first, why on earth would you want to buy a Kosatka Submarine? Well, there are 5 main reasons. Anti-griefing tools, so between the guided missiles and the Toreador, there are some fantastic ways to sort out some of the more annoying trolls in free roam. Quick travel, similar to the yacht, you can pay a modest fee to quick travel around the map, which is fantastic for setup missions or for warping away from Mark II tryhards. Hidden caches, so with the sonar add-on, you can earn an additional 75 grand per day really easily. The moon pool vehicles, so you can call in an extra lot of personal vehicles through the Kosatka Services menu, which includes a chopper that you can spawn right next to you. And of course the Cayo Perico heist, and this is the biggie. Categorically the best way to make money in the game at the time of recording. You can pull upwards of $1 million per hour with a good draw and a friend, or 600 grand per hour solo, sort of. Oh, and it comes with the personal quarters by default, so you can spawn directly onto your submarine, which makes it a lot easier for heist preps and for avoiding griefers. Right, so let's talk budget. To access the main heist, you'll need to be a VIP, motorcycle club president, or a CEO. Honestly though, you don't want to be doing this as a VIP. There are some serious restrictions and it's a pain in the backside. So realistically, the cheapest option here is becoming an MC club president, and to do that you first need to have a motorcycle club set up. The cheapest one you can grab is the Great Sparrow Clubhouse at 200 grand. It's a bit out of the way, but if you're on a budget, this is the one to go for. Once you have the clubhouse set up, you'll need the actual submarine. You can purchase this through the Warstock website on your phone. Given it's a vehicle similar to the MOC or Avenger, we don't have to worry about locations or aesthetics, just the accessories. So we have a base price of $2,200,000 for the Kosatka itself, and it comes with parking for a Toreador and an Avisa, snacks, some ammo, that's RPGs, Molotovs and a handgun, personal quarters, and a control center for the heist. So that makes things nice and easy. Next we have some upgrades, starting with the color. You can have the standard black and red at no additional cost, or one of the other 11 options for an additional $75,000. Next up, select your flag. None of these cost extra, so pick the one you identify with most closely and you're good to go. The Sonar Station for $1,200,000 is next. This allows you to track and target other submersibles and unlocks the hidden cache hunt, which allows you to earn an additional $75,000 per real world day. Honestly, unless you're planning on griefing other sub owners or grinding the hidden caches a lot, I wouldn't worry about this one. Next up is the guided missile station at $1,900,000. This lets you fire a missile from the sub and control it in a similar way to the drone. They have a range of 4,000 meters from your submarine, and they're pretty potent too, so you'll take out most things in one shot. Moving down the list, we have the weapons workshop at $350,000. This allows you to upgrade Mark II compatible weapons and purchase different types of ammunition if you've unlocked them through research in your bunker, and only if you've unlocked them through research in your bunker. If you do not have a bunker, this is a complete waste of money. And finally, the moon pool vehicles, with the Sparrow at $1,815,000, which is a cracking little chopper, fragile but really quick and able to fire multiple homing rockets at the same time once you've done an upgrade for an additional 240 grand, and the Avisa, which is a personal sub. Honestly, this is slow as a wet week and generally pretty ordinary, especially at $1,000,000 2,545,000. Personally, I'd forego this one. You're much better off saving a bit more and grabbing a Toreador. So that means your bare minimum starting point is 2,200,000 or 2,400,000 if you have to purchase a motorcycle club too. But if you can squeak together 4,500,000, you can get the Kosatka, the Sparrow with the homing missiles, and the motorcycle club if you don't have one already. And with the Sparrow, your initial round of preps will be much quicker. The daily fees are less than $150 too, which is a bit of a change from some of the other complex properties as well. So assuming it takes you about 5 hours to rail through the story for the first time, and then you just redo the heist again, which takes around an hour the second time, you'll probably hit break even after around 6 hours or so, quicker if you jump in on Panther Week. So once you've got your eye in, you'll be able to get through the preps in around 45 minutes and the heist in 10, with a solo take of between 1,600,000 and 2,400,000 depending on your draw with the loot. Now if you do this with a friend, it typically means between 800,000 and 1.2 million every hour or so. But with the solo nerf that came in with the Criminal Enterprises DLC, you can only run this every 3 hours solo. So that means it's still between 1.6 and 2.4 million for about 1 hour's effort, but given the 3 hour cooldown plus an hour's prep, that means you can only, and I mean only, pull between 400,000 and 600,000 per real world hour. Don't get me wrong, it's still one of the best money makers in the game, and if you couple it with an agency, you'll be swimming in cash. But it's not quite the money maker it was. It's still pretty damn good. Unlock and purchase is next. So first up, if you haven't already, you'll need to unlock the Cayo Perico heist, which you can do simply by wandering into the nightclub off to the side of the Diamond Casino Resort and walking over to the VIP area. You'll get a quick cutscene which has a bit of info in it, so make sure you have 5 minutes to yourself and keep the sound up. Then once you've got the cash together and know what accessories you're going to grab, head somewhere safe and bring up the internet on your phone. Head to Travel and Transport, then to Warstock Haitian Carry, or you can just search Warstock on the toolbar up the top. Click on the Kosatka up the top and cycle through the add-ons and click purchase and then confirm. Your Kosatka is now available for you to spawn in. So head to the interaction menu, that's M on your keyboard, double squares on your Xbox controller or swipe on your PlayStation controller. Toggle down to Services, then Kosatka, then Request Kosatka. The menu will disappear and sometime over the next 60 seconds you'll see a notification pop up on the top of your screen saying the sub has surfaced. You'll also see the submarine pop up on your minimap. Now I've used the chopper here so you can get a bird's eye view of the sub. From the top you can see 3 hatches from which you can enter the Kosatka: the forward hatch, the door on the sail, and the aft hatch. If you're in a Sparrow, you can also hover above midship to automatically enter the sub, same as your agency or your CEO's office. And if you're below the waterline, either swimming in the Avisa mini sub or in the Toreador, you can also enter via the moon pool, which is also midship below the Sparrow. For the first time in though, you'll most likely approach by boat, and if that's the case, pull up next to the sub, clamber up, and head to the main entry on the sail here. There'll be another quick cutscene and a briefing, so sound up. Once you're done, you'll be dropped into the control room. We're presently on the uppermost deck of the submarine in the middle of the boat, and there's a few things you can do here. Reddit user Optimal Writing has done a neat portside diagram which we'll use here. There's a link to the original in the description below. First, if we head to the helm, we can quick travel around the map, similar to the luxury yacht, or you can manually drive the submarine around the map. Controls will differ depending on your platform, so keep an eye on the top left of your screen. Off to the left there, through the door, you can find the forward hatch, the mess, and the living quarters, and we'll check on those in a moment. Next up, we have the Sonar Station. You can't really do much with this, it's a passive add-on, but if you have it, it will allow you to look for caches in certain watercraft, which we'll get to a little bit later on. Over to the guided missile station next. Once you sit here, you can fire a single guided missile with a range of 4,000 meters. It's kind of like flying a pyro in first-person view. Again, we'll go through this a little bit later in the video. Swiveling to the center of the room, we can see a large tactical screen. This is where you launch the Cayo Perico heist from. Heading aft, you can see the Periscope, which allows you to launch short-range homing missiles. The ladder to the hatch on the sail, and as we move further aft into the stairwell, you can see the actuated helipad. This is where your Sparrow is stored if you've purchased one. While we're here, there's a spot to change into a wetsuit too and don some scuba gear. Heading downstairs below the helipad, we can see the moon pool. This is where your Avisa will be stored if you have one, as well as your Toreador. On the other side of the room, you can find another full set of scuba gear, and beyond that is the engine room and aft hatch. And if you chuck the scuba gear on, you can also walk over to the moon pool doors and exit directly into the water. This is super super handy for at least one of the Cayo prep missions and is really neat when collecting caches. So from the bottom of the moon pool stairs, if we head forward, we will find the weapons workshop if you purchased it, and further forward again, the torpedo room and a set of RPGs. You can even pick these up if you're under rank 100, which is sweet. Returning to the main control room and heading forward this time, we end up in the forward stairs. You can see the forward hatch there, which will pop you out to the bow of the boat, and then heading down one flight of stairs and aftertouch lands us in our personal quarters, where you can sleep and where you'll load in if you have the Kosatka set as your spawn point. And just around the corner here, you'll often find an SMG and some ammo too. Moving aft one more room takes us to the mess hall. You'll often see Pavel, your first officer, having a bite and a quiet drink. You'll also find some Molotovs and a sidearm. And that's it for the facilities. You will get lost, don't worry, but eventually you'll muddle your way around and will be able to find what you need. That said, if you can familiarize yourself with the layout, it's super handy for at least one of the Cayo prep missions. So next up, let's take a look at the heist. Now, we're not going to work through the individual setups or the heist itself here. That's for another time. However, there are a comprehensive list of guides in the description below. We'll just take a quick look at getting the heist set up. So when you're ready, head to the control room on the top floor. Make sure you're registered as a VIP, MC Club President, or a CEO. Then head to the forward side of the large screen in the middle of the room. You can tell you're in the right spot because the text will be the right way up. Wander up to the console and look for the prompt top left, then press that button. You do a little shuffle and then be prompted to press another button again, top left. Once you've done that, you'll start your very first setup mission, gathering heist intel. As I mentioned before, we won't go through the actual missions here, but there are links to guides in the description below. After you've completed each prep mission, simply return to the control center of the sub, wander up to the screen, and follow the prompts to start the next prep. Still with us? Fantastic. So let's take a look at some of the unique mechanics around the Kosatka Submarine, starting with the helm. Once you sit down, you have a couple of options. You can fast travel, similar to the luxury yacht or the agency concierge. Simply select the fast travel option, then pick where you'd like to go. Note that each time you fast travel, it will take about 30 seconds and costs about $2,000. This is super handy if you want to get closer to a heist prep staging area, want to move the sub into guided missile range of someone, or want to move yourself way out of the way so you can be left alone. The other option you have is to pilot the sub manually. It's slow but very tanky, so it can be handy for preps. While you're piloting, you can also fire torpedoes manually, which is great for taking out other subs or clowns in Toreadors if you're feeling lucky. Oh, and of course, it's a submarine, so you can dive down a fair way if you really want to be left alone. Let's take a look at the periscope next. If you've been piloting, bring yourself up to surface level and exit the pilot seat. Walk to the other side of the heist control panel to this enclosed space and then use the button prompt top left to access the periscope. The controls are a bit of a mix of a sniper rifle for zooming and the homing missiles. This is a great way to see what's going on the surface without making yourself too vulnerable, and to get your bearings without having to exit the sub or jump on the helm. The homing missiles will lock onto any surface craft like a boat or a jet ski, and any airborne vehicles in range. That's choppers, planes, jetpacks, and most importantly, oppressors. Again, fantastic for at least one of the Cayo prep missions and really handy for nearby airborne griefers. Next up is one of the more fun features of the submarine, the guided missile. As the name suggests, the guided missile station lets you launch and pilot missiles with the range of up to 4,000 meters, so that's around 2.5 miles. Now, when you fire these off, you will need to pay attention. The guided missiles move quickly, like as fast, if not faster, than a pyro quickly, and you can only use first person, so they might take a few rounds to get used to. Once you've got your head around piloting them though, you can do some serious damage. These things are powerful and can take out some pretty solid targets in a single go. Note though, there is a 60-second cooldown from the time your guided missile either hits something or runs out of range. While we're over here, let's take a look at the sonar station. This is an effect add-on, so we can't actually use it not like a periscope or the guided missiles. Instead, it allows you to activate an add-on in the relevant submersibles. At the time of recording, I believe we can use this while you're piloting the actual Kosatka, while you're piloting the Avisa, or while you're submerged with the Toreador. If we've missed any, please leave a comment below. While we're on submersibles, the Kraken Avisa. This sub was released with the 1.52 Cayo update and can only be garaged in the Kosatka. It's a standard mini sub similar to the one we saw in story mode. Honestly, it's slow, not terribly maneuverable, and it's just not a lot of fun to drive, so I'm not a massive fan. But if you're super keen on grinding out those caches though, it might be a handy the investment, as it does allow you to exit the vehicle while submerged and then re-enter, and that can be handy for reaching the unusual or tight spots around the map, especially around some of the wrecks and caves. Sticking with the submersibles, is the Toreador. This is based on an old Lambo Marzl concept car from back in the day, and is essentially a Mark II Stromberg. It has a boost that can be used on the ground, in the air, and even underwater. This one also comes with unlimited missiles, which is super handy when dealing with griefers, idiots, cops, and other NPCs. Oh, and while it can be garaged in the Kosatka, it doesn't have to be garaged there. You can keep it anywhere you like. There's one more vehicle that your new submarine can house. That's an armed chopper, the Sparrow. At the time of recording, this was the second fastest chopper in the game, topping out at nearly 169 miles per hour, or around 270 k's. You can fit it with either a 50 cal machine gun or homing missiles. For my money, the homing missiles are the way to go. Their tracking is excellent, and there's no reload time, so you can just keep firing one after the other. And you never run out of ammo either. It's brilliant. Just one thing to bear in mind, the Sparrow has the constitution of a paper plane on a rainy day. It is fragile. If you look at this thing the wrong way, it starts smoking. Rough landing, smoking. 2 bullets from a handgun, smoking. Bump into it as you're running around to get into the pilot's seat, believe it or not, smoking. It does not fare well against missiles either. That said, if you have the money, it's an absolute must. This helpful piece of kit will halve or even third the time it takes you to do the free mode preps for the Cayo heist. Right, that's the Kosatka covered and the main vehicles it can garage. One more thing, and then a couple of quick pro tips. Services. Similar to the MOC, Avenger, the yacht, etc., the Kosatka comes with a bunch of additions that can come in really handy. To access these, jump into your interaction menu. That's M on your keyboard, hold the double squares on your Xbox, or swipe on your PlayStation controller. Once that's up, toggle down to Services, then Kosatka. From this menu, you can do a few things. Firstly, if your submarine has not been called in yet, you can call it in. It will appear on the closest spawn point to your current location and can take up to 60 seconds. Heading down, we can request a vehicle. If you've purchased them, this can either be the Sparrow heli, which will spawn within about 20 foot of your current location, or the Avisa mini sub, which will spawn at the closest shoreline. Now, you can only spawn one moonpool vehicle at a time, which can be a bit of a pain. There's also a 2-minute cooldown on a vehicle if you destroy or despawn it. So, for example, if you despawn or otherwise destroy your helicopter, you have to wait another 2 minutes to call it in again. You can, however, return your mini sub and immediately spawn your chopper. You can request a dinghy, which is similar to the Avisa. It will just spawn at the nearest shoreline. We have return options, which we'll get to in a moment, and after that we can use the next 2 menu items to set who can enter our submarine and to boot people out of our sub. And finally, we can swap out the color of the scuba gear if we've purchased it. Now let's sneak back up to return options, because that's a bit of a gotcha. The first option is pretty straightforward. This will despawn your submarine. The next one, open water, is for when you accidentally beach your submarine, which is surprisingly easy to do. Surfacing your Kosatka is also pretty self-explanatory. And the last one despawns your dinghy. Here's the trick one though, return moon pool vehicles. This one's caught me a few times because it returns either the Avisa or the Sparrow depending on which one you have out. And unlike the return personal vehicle option, this one doesn't care if you're presently in the vehicle. So if you're in your chopper and select this option when you're not paying attention, well... No! I hate gravity! There's also a 2-minute cooldown on calling the moonpool vehicle too, so that can get mighty inconvenient during a prep mission, free mode event, or when you're under pressure. Some pro tips next. So first up, like most other businesses, if you're registered as some sort of manager, that's either a CEO, VIP, or an MC president, the game assumes you're actively running a business, and that can leave your other businesses open to raids. If you're not actively working a business and you're not doing something that expressly requires you to be a CEO, VIP, or MC club president, then you should resign. Next, if you're planning on grinding KO, don't be afraid to cancel a heist and restart it if you get crappy loot. So the tequila pays out 900,000, the ruby necklace pays out $1 million, bearer bonds pay out 1.1 million, and the pink diamond 1.3 million. The Black Panther is also 1.9 million, but we won't worry about that because it's only available in special event weeks. Now it costs 25,000 to start a heist, and it takes about 5 minutes to work out what primary target you've got once you have the technique down. game. If you get anything but the bearer bonds or the pink diamond, you should cancel the heist and restart it. Now, hear me out. If you get the tequila as your primary, that's 900k, which is 400,000 less than your maximum payout. If you cancel and restart, then draw the diamond, you're $375,000 better off. That's the 400k minus the 25 grand for starting again. At that rate, you can afford to restart quite a few times before it starts eating into profits. So if you have the money, you're better off cancelling and restarting, as it will most likely be a far more efficient use of your time in terms of return on investment. And our final pro tip, once you've played the storyline through once, go and watch some speedrunners. Don't watch them beforehand because of spoilers, but once you've played through the entire questline, go and watch them. Watching speedrunners doing Cayo preps will dramatically improve your game and reduce the turnaround time for getting it to the Cayo finale. I cannot stress this enough. Damn, that was a lot to take in. This was certainly a massive task to put together this guide, so if you found it in any way helpful, please drop a like and a comment below. We do our best to reply to everyone, so even if you just want to say hi, chances are we'll say g'day right on back. And thanks for persevering. Check out the video up the top for our detailed guide on the easiest way to complete the Cayo finale, or the one down the bottom for some more old Grumpy Gamer goodness. Stay safe, wash your hands, and we'll see you in the next video.